Hi, and welcome back to Maple History. I'm Christina Austin, and today I have my husband, Simon.
Yet again.
Yep. So today we're going to do, it's going to be a shorter episode for a couple reasons. Next episode, I'm going to be getting into Champlain, and I need time to get into Champlain because there's a lot of material, and it takes a lot of time to cover that. Secondly, it was dance recital weekend, and I think I'm still exhausted. So our 7-year-old daughter is in competitive dance for whatever that is.
Sweet.
Anyways, any dance parents out there know exactly what I'm talking about, or any parent whose kid is into any high level, intense activity.
Competitive anything. Yeah. So this week's just going to be snack sized.
Yeah, it's probably, well, we'll see how long it takes. Anyways, so we're going to get into someone who is a perpetual footnote in history. I'll tell you all about her. So first, let's revisit Cartier and Roberval. So just to recap, Cartier came in his first voyage to Canada in 1534, and that's when he kidnapped Domagaya and Taignoane. And the next year, 1535, is when he brought them back. And that's when all the scurvy fun happened. And when he went to Hochelaga, and that's where we get the Canada heritage moment. And then he kidnapped Domagaya, Taignoane, and why did I blank on that other name? Donnacona. Oh my God. Okay, listen, it's been a week. It's Monday, but it's been a week. Okay. So that's what happened, and then he was going to come back the next year, but he didn't because the King of France went to war with the King of Spain for reasons. Then he was going to be in charge of he was commissioned to do another mission to Canada to really start the French settlement. But he got kind of sidelined by Jean-François de la Rocque de Roberval. And he was commissioned to be the leader of the expedition. Is that the term?
I think so. No. Colonizing?
Yeah, he was colonizing. Yeah. He was a friend of the king, generally just a terrible person. And we'll get into why in a moment. He was shit with money. He was a pirate/privateer. And he was happily murdered in 1560. Now, why I really don't like him is because today we're talking about Marguerite de la Rocque de Roberval.
I'm just going to jump in and say I read like a tiny little bit of this story, and I am so excited to hear about this one. This one's amazing.
Yeah, and I'm so irritated with myself that I missed it, which I think is really indicative of what happens to this story over and over again. So, Marguerite, I'll tell you the story as we think it might be, and then there's going to be a couple different versions, and then there's lots of fictionalized accounts of her.
Because she's amazing.
Yeah. She's so much better than Jean-François. So, Marguerite, we don't know when she was born, maybe 1530s, something like that, or anyways, 1520, 1530. We don't know how old she was when she enters our story, which is in 1542. She had lands in Périgord and Languedoc, and we know this because she pledged fealty to the king in 1536, so that's how we get a record of her name and what her lands were. And she is a relative of Roberval.
Okay.
We don't know, cousin, sister, niece, somewhere they are related because they have the same name. And she is on the voyage in 1542 with Roberval.
I didn't know that she had land, so she must have been reasonably well off.
Yeah.
She owned property.
Yeah, as a woman.
As a woman. And then she still got on this ship.
Yes.
For this adventure. Wow. Okay.
So why she got on, we don't know. We don't have a record of that. But because Roberval was her relative, an older male relative, she was probably under his control.
Yeah.
it's not very often that even a French noblewoman would have full control of her own property.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
depends, but just it's unlikely.
Yeah. Fair.
Especially an unmarried, like perhaps like a widowed person, a woman could have control, but she was not married. So
Fair.
So she is on this ship in 1542. So this is the one where Roberval and Cartier meet up in Newfoundland, and then Cartier gives him the slip, which was great. Like, baller move, good for you. Take your little children's museum store treasures of
he thought
fool's gold.
He thought he was loaded, so he wanted to cut and run.
Yeah, good for you. Anyways, and he lived happily ever after at his estate, so good for him. Still think he kind of sucks, but that doesn't matter. So Marguerite is on this ship. So why? Don't know. And while she's on this ship, she had an affair with someone he's never named in any record.
Okay.
So some people say a soldier. Some people say one of the colonists. I just don't know.
She got a little lonely on the ship.
Yeah.
And needed some affection and attention, and that's totally fine.
But Roberval was a new Protestant, so like hardcore.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So some say that he could have been a Calvinist, which I think some of the Huguenots were. Calvinists they're very, how to explain Calvinists? They're very stuffy.
Okay.
And Calvinists believe that your fate is foretold. God has already decided you're going to, you just do what you're supposed to do and you're going to die whenever God has already decided.
Okay.
So it's kind of a fatalist kind of way. It's very,
yeah.
I don't know exactly. I've read snippets about the different early Protestant schools of thought, like the Lutherans and the Calvinists, and I don't know
that much about it.
Whatever.
All right.
Anyways, and this is early days of the Reformation as well.
Yeah.
So to be a Protestant would be something else.
You certainly would have the fervor of the newly converted, and
Indeed.
like to the nth degree.
Yep. So he found out about this affair and decided that he was going to maroon Marguerite, her lover, and Marguerite's maid off an island off of Newfoundland, or on an island off of Newfoundland.
So effectively a death sentence.
That was his plan. So I've read in some of the little snippets of accounts of the story that maybe he did it because he didn't care if she died, because he was in control of her property anyways.
Oh, okay.
So this is anything that there's very little information. So all of that is just conjecture. Yeah. So I don't know. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely a possibility.
Sure.
Because he was a greedy bugger. So
and he kept like blowing all his money.
Yeah.
Like losing
so
it.
why not blow her money?
Yeah.
So they're marooned on the Isle of Demons.
Okay.
That's what they call it in all the accounts.
Do we know where that is?
Some say it's near the mouth of the Rivière St. Paul off the coast. Some say it's this island called Quirpon Island, or Harrington Harbor, which is off the coast which is on Quebec, more on the Quebec side.
Okay.
Could be Belle Isle.
But it's like off the coast of the country.
Yeah.
So, okay. So it's not like an island on a river or anything like that. It's one of the...
No, it's ocean.
Oh, wow.
It's on the ocean.
Okay. So you're not getting off that.
No. It's not like you're near a peninsula and it's going to freeze over and then you can go. But I mean, what good would that do anyways?
Yeah.
Even if you got off the island, where are you going to go? There's also no record that she met any indigenous people. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, there's lots of little islands and whatever, right? There's not a densely populated area in that zone.
Yeah.
So if she had gone down, say, the St. Lawrence and been cast off, people would have found her.
Yeah.
Indigenous people would have found her.
She might have been able to like get in with them. Like get rescued kind of.
Yeah. Because generally I don't think they would, they don't just kill random people, right?
Yeah.
Like there's usually a purpose. So she's marooned on the island with her unnamed boyfriend and her maid. Her name was Demienne.
Okay.
So I like that the two characters that we have are Marguerite and Damienne and some dude.
Yeah. This unnamed man. That's true.
Doesn't matter.
It's just like another bit of her story that makes her just such, well, I won't ruin it, but like
She's awesome.
riveting.
So they got, Roberval gave some supplies and a couple arquebus, like basically shotguns.
Okay. Yeah, like a blunderbuss type of thing or something like that.
Yeah. But just a fancier French. It's more French.
A French gun.
Yeah.
Or a bunch of French guns. Okay.
Yeah. So, and powder and shot and stuff.
Yeah.
So she had that. Some accounts say 2, some say 4. It doesn't matter. She had weapons.
Yeah.
And a sword.
Okay.
And probably, a knife.
Hopefully a knife and an axe or something.
Yeah.
Build some kind of shelter.
Probably something like that. So they lived together for a while on this island. The boyfriend made a shelter for them. Damienne, who was a servant, so she's super useful.
Yeah.
Because she would know how to do things at least.
Sew and
if she worked in the kitchen, like she'd tear the birds apart and the chickens and cut things up. But anyways, be super useful person to have around. But she was older.
Mm-hmm.
So Marguerite wouldn't have been as useful at the start. But then things start going, after about 8 months, things start going south fast. So the boyfriend dies.
Okay.
We don't know how.
Could be anything. Like you get a little, it could be cold. Just the cold could have gotten.
Like scurvy.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? And then she had a baby.
Okay.
And then the baby died.
Oh, rough.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to go back. So when, in the story that's told, 2 things. In one of the stories, one of the guys, Andre Tevet, he told the story that it was Marguerite and the maid that got marooned, and then the lover dove in the water to swim to join them.
Okay. That's romantic.
I'm like, okay.
That's pretty romantic.
I mean, that's a good story.
Yes.
So anyways, he died. And then when he died, she defended his corpse because he died in the winter from a bear.
Oh,
and shot the bear.
Wow.
So got a bear. And in the story that Andre Tevet, it's a polar bear.
No.
It's a bear as white as an egg.
Oh.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's like the most terrifying bear that you can encounter on that part of other than what is the grizzly, the biggest one?
No, the polar bear.
Oh, is
There's
it?
The saying is black fight back.
Yeah.
Because like they're basically like huge raccoons.
Okay, so black fight back. So yeah, they're the one where it's like
they're smaller and they're not like really aggressive. Like you're going to get into trouble.
Why are they friend shaped if we can't pet the friend? Kind of, that like they're a little more cuddly.
Yeah, unless there's
but there's still a bear.
Unless there's still a bear, but it's unless they're
I'm not
going to
pet a bear. Don't worry.
Yeah, brown lie down. Because like it's gonna, if it wants you, like you play dead, basically. Like you're never try to run from a bear or anything like that. White, good night, because you're dead.
Yeah, because it's gonna hunt you.
Because it'll hunt you. It's one of the only animals, like one of the few animals that hunts people.
Yeah, like lions.
Yeah, and they're
polar bears.
Absolutely massive. They're like 12 feet tall, stretched out. It's absurd.
Well, there we go. Marguerite, absolute queen. So took care of that. So then the baby died, and then Damienne died.
Yeah.
So then she is alone on the island of demons.
Yes.
Essentially, or becomes an island of demons because she starts to lose it.
Well, if it's an island that has polar bears on it, it's also a cold, cold, cold winter.
Yeah, and a hot summer.
Yeah.
And because if you're that far south, like you get that massive fluctuation, right?
Yes.
Like in Newfoundland, Labrador weather. So she continues to live, and she lives for about a year on this island alone.
Wow.
When some Basque fishermen, or Breton, we don't know, maybe Breton and Basque are similar. Anyways, but I'm going to say Basque because I find they're my friends from previous St. Lawrence Iroquois episode. I like the Basque. So they find her, and she looks like a witch.
Oh, yeah.
Like just totally bonkers.
Yeah. Hair everywhere. Clothes are all crazy.
Clothes are rags, wearing skins.
Yeah.
Honestly, if she's wearing that bear skin. Marguerite, yes. So they take her back to France.
Wow.
And then she ends her days teaching girls.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And so how we know this story, there's two ways. The first is from Marguerite of Navarre, the Queen of Navarre. She is the king's sister.
Okay.
And she's the queen of a little area. I don't know where Navarre is, but somewhere in Europe.
Okay.
So she's the queen. Anyways, and so she is also Protestant.
Okay.
Or at least leaning Protestant. So she wrote this story of I forget how many, but anyways, kind of these moralizing fables.
Yeah.
And Marguerite's story is number 67 of the Heptameron. The Heptameron is the title of this collection of stories.
Okay.
And that was in 1558. In her version, it's Roberval who told her about this.
Oh.
But that is, there's a possibility because he would have known that Marguerite was back.
Well,
He knew about this. He knew what happened.
He knew he abandoned her.
Yeah. But because Roberval was still a friend of the king, anything she wrote needed to play nice.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Because she's a woman and he's the king of France, and that's just what you had to do.
Yeah. And
her story it's not what the story I just told you. In her version, it's a fictionalized version, which is very moralizing, as I mentioned. Is
that what the Heptameron is? It's all like moral tales?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah. So
why is it called the Heptameron?
I don't know. That sounds Greek. I don't know.
Hept usually means 7.
Yeah. So maybe there's like 70 some odd. I don't know.
Yeah, could be.
There was more than 67. So it's like there was 70. I forget exactly. It might have been 75. Okay. Her story is that there was an artisan, one of the settlers, who betrays Roberval, somehow possibly related to Cartier. So because of this betrayal, he's putting this artisan guy, this like a carpenter or something like that, off the ship and marooning. And the wife, she was a very dutiful wife. This is Marguerite. Okay. The wife, but married. She's not named. Like she's not named in the story.
In the Heptameron.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So she, as a dutiful wife, goes with him.
Yes. Okay.
And he dies from drinking foul water because whatever, and he starts swelling and then he dies. Okay. And she survives fighting off lions.
Lions. Okay.
Yeah. But also through the strength of her faith and prayer.
Oh, okay. That's how she survives. Yeah.
Well, to be fair, I bet you it really helped the real Marguerite as well.
Yeah, it probably would have. Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you
lose hope.
If you are raised in a extremely religious society, when you start losing your marbles on your own on an island full of terrors. Yeah. I'm sure she leaned into prayer.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Polar bears are 100% monsters.
Yeah.
Like they are the stuff of nightmares.
Yeah. So that's the Queen of Navarre's story version. Okay. So this very moralizing, lovely tale of wifely duty with a disloyal husband. Anyway, so she survives. Oh, and Roberval is the one who rescues her in that story.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
He rescues her, even though he put her there.
Yeah. But because he was really just marooning the husband and he was dead. So that's fine. He can bring her back.
Yeah. Okay.
So it puts him in a good light.
I also like that there's a little dig at Cartier there, though, that you said as well. They're like, I don't know, it might have been because this guy was associated with Cartier. Another little...
They didn't like each other.
They didn't like each other.
No. But it also has hints of what actually happened with Roberval's settlement. Okay. As in, it's kind of a little mild reference to the scurvy, right? The guy, the swelling and the privations and the cold and hunger and things like that. So it's that is telling that story in a subtle way as well, because that would have been very known in that level of society.
Yeah.
Like it wouldn't have been kind of pop culture. It would have been high level.
Yeah. And they wouldn't have known what caused scurvy, right? That's
No,
why they
they
thought
didn't
it was
know.
bad water or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cartier thought it was lack of fresh meat.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I don't know if you get vitamin C from meat. I don't think you do, but I could be wrong. I'm not a nutritionist. But
I think you can get it from offal,
maybe.
like
Yeah.
organ meat and stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm not sure though.
I know you can get vitamin A from a polar bear liver, but it will kill you
Yes. Yeah.
in a hurry.
Yeah. So much OD on vitamin A.
Yeah. So that's that story. And so that was published after the Queen of Navarre died in 1558.
Okay.
And so the main story that we get is from André Tevet. He was a priest and a voyager kind of traveler guy. And he says that he got the story from Marguerite.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Probably didn't. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter. What we can't.
How can you tell?
I mean, it can.
Yeah.
He could have heard it from some of the people that were on the voyage.
Yeah.
Like the navigator or the pilot or someone like the second in command. Anyways, he could have heard it from them. So he wrote the story down, and that's where we get kind of the details of the diving in the water, but that could be a mistranslation. Probably didn't dive in the water because it's still the North Atlantic.
Yes.
It's not great for a dip. And you get the part about the 3 killing, like I think it was 2 or 3 bears.
Oh, wow.
So, and protecting the bodies from being devoured by the bears and other wildlife and things like that. And you definitely get a lot about her going crazy and hearing demons.
Okay.
So it could have just been the hordes of birds that land on those little islands in different seasons. And also it gets very foggy.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's hordes of birds and it's very foggy and you're hearing these squawks all the time,
If you're out in the wilderness, and it is like, and you're quiet, there's so much noise around you, like even like chipmunks and like squirrels and stuff like that. It can be very loud.
Yes, well, that's why I don't go camping. So I don't have to worry about that. I'm not going. So he wrote his story in something called the Cosmographie Universelle, and that's kind of it's got a whole bunch of stuff. She's just one part of it. It's all like it's a travel log and different. And he was a priest, and he was a very learned fellow, and it's kind of like I skimmed through it to find her story, and it was kind of like a brain dump of all the stuff he knew about North America and other stuff with different theology things mixed in there and just kind of everything. So whatever. He was fine. He was interesting. So yeah, that's where we get the stories. And there was another one. There's a couple other little things here and there. But then we really there's been a lot of modern fiction. And it's still just completely obscure to me that I'd never heard of her. And I pay attention to history. So, But so
I the only reason I know about her is I read about her in that she was a little story in that was it like Canada in 12 maps or something like that.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Or like whatever. I'm getting the number wrong, but that book about Canada and maps. Yeah, she was in there. I was fascinated by it.
Yeah, that's on my list of ones to read, but I haven't got there yet. Okay, so she in modern fiction in 2003. Douglas Glover wrote a novel called Elle, and that won the Governor General's Award. And I haven't read that one, but apparently it's kind of weird. There's like mystical stuff happening, and there's Indigenous women who are there. Anyways, it sounds very interesting. So I'll probably put that on my list, and then I can go to the 2-foot stack of books that I still need to read. I did read/listen to the audiobook of Isola by Allegra Goodman. That came out this year in 2025, and it's one of Reese Witherspoon's book club books.
Okay.
And that is very much like a straight up historical fiction book.
Nice.
Like a historical fiction biography book. And it starts with Marguerite as a child, and it goes until her becoming a teacher. I'm not doing a spoiler of the book because I just told you the story of what happened.
Yes.
So, and it seems that it's trying to play true to it. She did a good job of being historically accurate. I mean, she took some license here and there, and you get the name of the lover.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell you the name because that would spoil the book because you don't know where he's coming from. I mean, he's not a sneak attack. It's just so
surprise.
Woo! It just pops up on the boat.
Yeah.
But it gives you the historical background, the cultural background of what her status would have looked like. And it's hard for me because I'm reading all these little sources. Like there's not much. There's like that little short story in the Heptameron. It's not long.
Yeah.
Like it's like a couple pages.
Yeah. The primary sources are thin, right?
Yeah. And then there's like a couple pages from Andre Tevet, whatever, from him. And then there was one other one, but honestly, it was like a little footnote. It didn't really have any new information.
It's enough that we know, because it's 3 separate sources, I would say it's enough that we know that it happened.
Yeah,
right?
That she existed.
We just don't know the details.
Yeah, about the why.
Yeah.
And the who of the boyfriend. There's always a male involved. And historians generally think that it probably happened. And that's why you say we probably happened.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I couldn't swear to it.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Like, I don't know.
Is it possible that you could survive in the Canadian wilderness as just like a throuple?
Yeah. Well, I like Damienne. She's not in on this.
Okay. Yeah. A couple and a
servant.
A servant. Like, is that possible? Yeah.
Because people did.
If people did, it's going to be real hard though. Hard, real cold, real hard.
Yeah. But it wasn't a barren island. They had wood, right?
Yeah, they had wood to burn. They had a shelter. They could have made a shelter.
Yeah, they made.
And they'd survived a winter already.
Yeah.
So they knew it wasn't like a big surprise.
Yeah. So it's thought that the lover, boyfriend, whatever you want to call him, died during the winter when the ground was frozen. So that's why she was protecting the body, because she couldn't bury it.
Yeah.
That was the kind of thought. Again, you don't really get an answer about why the baby died, but you could see why the baby would die.
Oh, yeah.
Right? With food being scarce, you can't make milk. It's cold.
Yeah.
Sure, they had the furs, which is good. But again, I mean, infant mortality in a wealthy household with all the trappings of upper classness, they died. Like 50% died.
Yeah.
So it's not a surprise the baby died. And an older servant. Yeah. I mean, sure. Like anything could happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Marguerite lived. And then there's some plays that have been written and performed. There was one in 2015. There is another book, Silence of Stone by Anne-Marie Beckel from 2010. So it's like constant out there. And I read online that there is a French show or movie that's being done, like a French, and it's so French. Yeah, they're making it interesting. The premise of the story is that she gets raped and then she's marooned on the island with her rapist.
Okay.
I'm like, okay. Yeah. Like, make it dark, sure.
Yes.
Make it like, okay, fine. I mean, but I guess if he's probably gonna die, so that's good.
Yeah.
So that's in the works. Reese Witherspoon has the book, so who knows if she's going to do something with it.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be fine. That'd be great. And it was interesting listening to Allegra Goodman's author's note about it and how she was on holiday with her children and she was reading them a nonfiction book about Canadian history or French. I think they were in Quebec or something like that. And she read this little bit. Yeah. This little she's like, whoa, what is this? And then it kept rumbling around in her brain, and she had little kids, so she was busy.
Yeah.
And then it just kept percolating through her mind, and so she decided to finally write the novel. It's kind of like Marguerite just keeps getting marooned, and then we find her again. And then she's off on the island. And then she gets discovered again by like over and over again. And she just can't quite get into the main memory of society, Canadian or even French society of who she is. Like, we should know Marguerite de la Rocque de Roberval, Jacques Cartier, Donnacona, Taignoane, Domagaya, and Jean-François de la Rocque de Roberval.
Yeah.
Like, all of those names, we should know them, not just Cartier.
Yeah.
Who we know. Roberval gets like an honorary mention. People if you really paid attention in history class, you probably know Roberval, but you never knew Donnacona.
No.
Like, I didn't know his name.
No.
So yeah, I want Marguerite de Roberval up there.
In
and
that
Donnacona.
same conversation. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And not just the losers. They sucked so bad. Like, he hit Roberval in particular, and because Cartier didn't tell him any of his like tricks of the white spruce to stave off scurvy. And apparently he was a terrible leader anyways. Like, he was a brutal leader, which makes sense. Like, that he was not.
There's no other way to control people.
Yeah.
So he just does it through brutality.
Yeah.
Like, that's a common it's a common trait of like bad bosses.
Yes.
Like, just even today.
Yeah. And it doesn't seem like Cartier was quite like that. I mean, I'm sure he was brutal to a degree, but he seemed to have some more loyalty of his crew.
Yeah.
I'm sure Roberval had loyalty of his crew too, but the loyalty that you get by being brutalized by fear.
Yeah.
And the settlers would have just hated him, but they were under his command because he was the lieutenant general of New France.
Yes.
From the king. So he is the king's agent, and the French people, they would have been very loyal to the king. They would have just dealt with it. It would have been awful. So yeah, that's the story of Marguerite de la Rocque de Roberval.
All right. Riveting.
She should be taught. When are we taught like early settlement Canadian history? I don't know. They changed it, which is fine. I'm fine that they changed the way they teach
elementary school.
Yeah, it was definitely elementary school. Anyways, tell everybody about Marguerite de la Rocque de Roberval and how awesome she was. Yeah. Killing bears and surviving on her own for 2 years. So she was there from 1542 and rescued in probably the spring of 1544.
Yeah. Wow. Just surviving, living off of the land, going a little crazy, but
yeah, I think she went a little crazy, but that's okay. She got there in the end.
Yeah.
She went home.
Nice.
She died an older woman.
Yeah. Back in France.
So good for her. Okay. So like and subscribe, share on, I'm on Instagram, Maple History Pod. I'm also on TikTok. Same. Not on the other one. You know which one I'm talking about.
And if you can do one thing, just tell another friend. Just spread like word of mouth. That really, really helps.
Yeah.
Tell another friend.
Just share it on social if you feel like it. But if not, I get it. You do your own thing on your social. Whatever makes you happy. Okay. Thanks. Bye.